Hello everyone, and once again welcome back to DHK. It is time to take this course to a slightly higher level. There are obviously 4 modules in the German language: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Listening includes listening to an audio and answering some questions based on the audio. Reading includes reading a passage and answering some questions based on the passage. Writing includes writing German in the form of an informal or formal letter or a passage on a particular topic, and so on. Speaking includes being given a topic or a theme of conversation and speaking about it alone or in case of a conversation with another person. Today, we're going to do some listening. The vocabulary we cover today is also important for you to understand the audio, so make sure you do the vocabulary really well. In listening, you can only listen to the content and have to hope for the person in the audio to be clear and understandable. But in reading, you can see the content and get a better idea of what the content actually means. For those reasons, some people feel that listening might be a little difficult compared to reading. If you think you're one of them, feel free to do the reading in L7 first and then the listening in L6. But make sure to cover at least the vocabulary from L6 before switching to L7. Finally, if you are new here and you wish to officially do the entire German course with us, make sure to register in our portal, which you can find in our Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube bio. You can also find the registration form in the description of this video. That being said, let's start with the lesson. Before starting with today's vocabulary, you should know about the plural forms in German. For those who don't know, plural forms are words describing more than one unit of anything. So if the word problem is the singular form, then problems is the plural form. In English, most plural words are very straightforward and easy. You just have to add an S at the end of its singular form. However, there are exceptions here as well. The plural of waitress is waitresses. Since the last letter of the singular form is already an S, you also add an E before the new S. The plural of woman is women and not womans. And the plural of fish is simply fish and not fishes. In German, unfortunately, plural forms are not so straightforward as English. In English, most words end with S and a few don't. In German, it's the opposite. Very few words have S as the ending for plural forms, whereas all the rest have different endings. There is no fixed rule to create the plural form of any given singular word. Instead, you have to remember the plural forms of words as new words, just like you have to remember the definite article of a new word. But one good thing about German plural forms is that they always take the definite article die. A plural word will never have der or das as its definite article. And there are obviously no indefinite articles for plural forms. So ein and eine are totally out of the picture because you would never say a problems or an apples. You simply say problems or apples without using any article at all. And just to be clear, with the definite articles, it is the problems or the apples. Whenever we cover a new word in the vocabulary, if I feel that the plural form of that word is very commonly used, I will add it right next to it in the list. Otherwise, I will only add them whenever and wherever necessary. Plural forms will be denoted with the letter P. Just like M means der, F means die, and N means das, P will always mean D. It is important to note that in German, just like all nouns have genders, all genders have a noun. What I mean when I say all genders have a noun is that if anything has multiple genders in real life, the German language will have a separate noun for the different genders of it. In English, this is true for only some cases but not all. For example, waiter and waitress are the male and female versions of the same profession. A colleague, on the other hand, can either be male or female and will still be addressed as a colleague. In German, there are not only two different words for waiter and waitress, but there are also two different words for a colleague depending on whether or not the colleague is male or female. Basically, regardless of whether there is just one word or two for different genders in English, German will always have two words for nouns that may have two separate genders in real life, like friend, student, actor or actress, chef, and so on. If you don't understand this concept just yet, you will understand it shortly after we start the vocabulary, so don't worry. So, let's add some new words to your dictionary before we move on to listening. You might want to note them down in your book along with their meanings. Starting with the nouns. Das Problem, die Probleme. Problem means problem, and Probleme is the plural form of Problem and means problems. Der Kollege, die Kollegin, die Kollegin. As I said before, a colleague may be male or female and will still be addressed as a colleague in English. However, in German, a male colleague is called Kollege, a female colleague is called Kollegin, and the plural form Kollegin means colleagues. Note that a German plural form can be a group of any gender combination. In some languages, there are also different words for plural forms depending on the genders present in the group. Luckily, in German, the trouble stops right before that, and the plural form is independent of the genders included in the group. Basically, the colleagues that I am referring to may be all male, all female, or a mix of both. Yet, my plural form remains the same as Kollegen. Moving on. Der Kellner, die Kellnerin, die Kellner. Kellner is a waiter. Kellnerin is a waitress. The plural form Kellner, which has the same spelling as the masculine form Kellner, means waiters or waitresses or a group of both waiters and waitresses. It is common in German for the plural form to have the same spelling as one of its singular forms. In a sentence, it is very easy to identify which is which, either by the definite article itself or the verb that follows it. In case of Kellner, if I say der Kellner, it is obvious that I'm talking about the masculine form of the word because remember, der can never be plural. Same is the logic if the plural of a neutral word has the same spelling. Das could never be plural. I know what you're thinking. What if the plural form of the word had the same spelling as the feminine form of the word, where both articles are die? The only way to find out in this case is with the help of the verb that is associated with the word. A verb associated with a plural noun will always be having a plural conjugation, as on the right side of the conjugation format, whereas the verb associated with a singular pronoun will always have a singular conjugation, as on the left side of the conjugation format. You can use this same logic for masculine and neutral singular forms as well. For example, der Kellner kocht, the waiter is cooking, and die Kellner kochen, the waiters or waitresses are cooking. The conjugated forms kocht and kochen indicate that in the first sentence the subject is a singular form, and in the second sentence it is a plural form. Moving on, der Freund, die Freundin, die Freunde. Freund can mean both a male friend or a boyfriend. Similarly, Freundin can mean both a female friend or a girlfriend. Freunde means friends. Der Student, die Studentin, die Studentin. Student means a male student. Studentin means a female student. Studentin means students. These three words generally refer to university students. Das Jahr, Die Jahre. Jahr is a year. Jahre is the plural form which means years. Das Geschwister. Die Geschwister. Geschwister means sibling. The plural form of the word is also Geschwister and has the same spelling as the singular form. Den Haag, Niederlande, and Italian are names of places. English is the German word for English. It sounds the same, but do not miss the letter C between the S and the H. Electronic means electronics. We have two new articles today, kein and keine. Basically, they are used to negate the indefinite articles ein and eine respectively. Kein means not ein, and keine means not eine. Ein Mann kocht means a man is cooking. Kein Mann kocht means no man is cooking, or more literally, not a man is cooking. It is that simple. We also have two new adverbs, auch and jetzt. Auch means also or as well or to, and jetzt means now. We have 5 adjectives: alt, jung, richtig, falsch, toll. Alt means old. Jung is the opposite of alt and it means young. Richtig means correct or right. Falsch is the opposite of richtig and it means false or incorrect or wrong. Toll means great or wonderful. We have 3 more prepositions this time. In simply means in. Gegen and have different meanings in different contexts. Today we are going to see what they mean when they are used with time. Gegen means around and means at. Before you use it in a sentence, you need to know how to read time in German. Uhr is the German analogous for o'clock. If you want to say 10 o'clock, you say 10 Uhr. For 9 p.m., you say 21 Uhr. There is no AM-PM concept in German, so you have to use the 24-hour format at all times. If I say 13 Uhr, I mean at 1 p.m. If I say gegen 13 Uhr, I mean around 1 p.m. We also have 3 very common conjunctions: und, aber, oder. Und means and, aber means but, and oder means or. All other types of words like interjections, honorifics, and so on will always be included in the others section. So we have ja, meaning yes, nein, which is the opposite of ja, means no, nicht, meaning not, tschüss, meaning bye or goodbye, Herr means Mr., and Frau means Mrs. Ach so is an expression that means oh or I see. Finally, we have some new verbs. Kennen means to know or to recognize or to be familiar with something or someone. Ich kenne, du kennst, sie kennt, wir kennen, ihr kennt, sie kennen. Lernen means to learn. Ich lerne, du lernst, sie lernt, wir lernen, ihr lernt, sie lernen. Studieren means to study, usually a discipline at a university. As I said earlier, student usually means a university student. A school student is mostly called a Schüler. Ich studiere, du studierst, sie studiert, wir studieren, ihr studiert, sie studieren. Here are some common examples and cases you're going to come across in the listening module, and you always have to remember these unsaid rules. In English, we say someone is a student. You don't use the indefinite article in such a sentence in German. So if you want to say I am a student, you say Ich bin Student and not Ich bin ein Student. Same applies when you're talking about someone else. Sie ist Kellnerin and not sie ist eine Kellnerin. For plural, it's easy because there is no indefinite article, like wir sind Studenten. Since it's plural, you obviously cannot use it with ich, du or sie. If it's just 1 year, you would say ein Jahr. If you're talking about more than 1 year, then you say Jahre, like 6 Jahre or 4 Jahre. A single sibling would be ein Geschwister, regardless of whether the sibling is a brother or sister. And if you are talking about multiple siblings, it's die Geschwister. Again, if you want to say we are siblings, you would say wir sind Geschwister. The keyword for this lesson is Geschwister. To know more about keywords, watch our introductory video. I also want you to know about a special case where oder is used at the end of a statement with a question mark. This basically converts the statement into a question. So, du kochst Essen means you are cooking food. If I say du kochst Essen, oder? Then it's like saying you are cooking food, right? Or you're cooking food, aren't you? Or, simply asking, are you cooking food? One more thing I want you to know is negation in a sentence. You now know 3 words that are used for negation: nicht, kein, and nein. Nicht is used to negate elements like verbs, adverbs, adjectives, etc. The position of nicht in a sentence is not fixed and it depends on the element that nicht negates. But for now, just know that if a sentence has nicht in it anywhere, it means the opposite of what it would mean if there were no nicht in it. For example, das ist nicht gut means that is not good. If the sentence did not have a nicht in it, it would be das ist gut and would mean that is good. And the opposite of that is that is not good. Kein or keine are negative articles and they're used just like you would use any other article like ein or eine or der, die, das. Das ist ein Problem means that is a problem. So das ist kein Problem means that is not a problem. A very commonly said phrase is kein Problem, and it is basically short for das ist kein Problem. Nein is an interjection and will mostly be used at the beginning of a sentence followed by a regular statement. For example, Nein, ich kenne Tommy nicht, which means no, I do not know Tommy. For now, that's all you need to know about negation. We have a separate lesson later just to cover it in more detail, so don't worry about it too much. Finally, we shall start with the listening module. Feel free to go to L7 and do your reading module first and then return to L6 for listening if you think that is easier. But remember, for the reading exercise in L7, you need to know the vocabulary and concepts from L6 as well as L7. Coming to the listening module and how this is going to work. There are 4 audio slides on 4 different topics. The topics are Freunde, Dialog, Telefondialog, and Gruppe. The best way to practice listening is to listen to a particular audio and then answering the questions based on that audio before moving on to listening to the next audio. All the questions can be found in the test linked in the description of this video. Basically, listen to a particular audio 2 times in a row, go to the test, and answer the questions in the test based on that particular audio. Come back to the lesson and listen to the next audio and so on. The audio number will be mentioned in every question. If there is no audio number mentioned in a question, the question is based on a concept from the lesson and not an audio. For any reason, if some of you are not able to put in your answers in the test simultaneously along with the lesson in a new tab or a new window, you may choose to go to the test, note down all the audio questions in your book first, and write your answers in the book, which you can later use to put in the test. I hope everything is clear. So let's begin.
Hallo, ich bin Ulla Walter. Ich bin 20 Jahre alt und ich komme aus Deutschland. Ich arbeite bei Bosch. Ich spiele Fußball. Das ist Martha. Sie ist 18 Jahre alt und sie ist Kellnerin. Martha lernt Englisch. Wir sind Freunde. Wir wohnen in Berlin. Berlin ist die Hauptstadt von Deutschland. Hallo, wie heißt du?
Hallo, ich heiße Lukas. Und du?
Ich heiße Kerstin. Woher kommst du?
Ich komme aus Den Haag.
Ist das in Deutschland?
Nein, das ist in Niederlande, aber ich wohne in Hamburg. Wo wohnst du?
Ich wohne auch in Hamburg, aber ich komme aus Italien.
Okay, wie alt bist du?
Ich bin 25 Jahre alt.
Bist du Studentin?
Nein, ich arbeite jetzt bei Aldi. Und du?
Ich bin 24 Jahre alt und bin Student.
Ah, gut.
Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Hallo, sind Sie Herr Müller?
Hallo, ich bin Anna Meyer. Wer sind Sie?
Ich bin Frank Schneider. Ist das 015 345 47?
Ja, das ist richtig.
Oh, wo ist Herr Müller? Ihr seid Kollegen, oder?
Ja, wir sind Kollegen. Herr Müller hat heute Urlaub.
Ach so, wann kommt Herr Müller?
Er kommt morgen gegen 9 Uhr.
Okay,
Kein Problem. Tschüss.
tschüss.
Hallo Nina und Tanja. Kommt ihr aus Regensburg?
Hallo David. Hallo Joachim. Nein, wir kommen aus Augsburg.
Nina, wo arbeitest du?
Ich arbeite bei Mercedes. David, arbeitest du auch bei Mercedes?
Nein, wir arbeiten bei Audi. Und wo arbeitest du, Tanja?
Ich bin Studentin und ich studiere Elektronik.
Toll. Kennst du Maria? Sie studiert auch Elektronik.
Nein, ich kenne Maria nicht. Woher kennst du Maria?
Wir sind Geschwister.
Ach so.
Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. See you in the next class. Tschüss.